Welcome to the webinar. Today's topic is takebacks. The important thing to remember when posting takebacks in Vision is that when you post the check amount, always enter the actual amount of the check. That is the amount that was deposited in your account. For the distribution, you would enter the takebacks first, then apply payments as usual. Net amount left should be 0 when complete. If not, do not post. We're going to start with a simple, straightforward takeback. What you see here is a Medicare Remit, and on the first page we are receiving a payment for Part A for Joe Smith in the amount of $7,427.50. But when we look at the second page of our remit, it shows that there is a negative payment or a takeback for Sue Jones in the amount of $702.03. That makes our total payment $6,725.47. So we will want to enter this as our check amount, which is less than the amount that they are paying on Joe Smith. I'm going to open a payment batch. You do need to use your payment checks format. Looking back at my remit number is 603. That's what I'm going to enter for my check number. For the check amount, it's important that I enter the actual amount of the check that was deposited. So rather than entering this number, I need to enter this number, the total payment to the provider, $67.25.47. And select Save Check. When the bottom half of the screen comes up, we're going to apply the negative payment first. So if I go back to my remit, I need to go to the second page and look at the takeback, which is for Sue Jones for January 2018. The takeback was for Medicare B, so I'm going to select that for my payer type. Summarized by should always be month. And I'm going to use my search options to bring up Sue Jones. So here is Sue's AR for January 2018, and it is 0 because earlier we had received a Medicare B payment that paid her account in full. Now, however, they are taking this amount back, $702.03. So I'm going to enter that in the payment amount as a negative, negative $702.03. I can see that that's going to leave her with a balance of $702.03. If I look up at the top of my check, here is the check amount, which is the amount that was actually deposited. But now, because of the negative payment that I've entered, the net amount left for the check is $74.27.50, which is the amount that is being paid for Joe Smith. So I now want to pull up Joe Smith's AR. It's for February 2018. I need to change the date. I also need to change the payer type because the takeback was for Medicare B, but this payment is for Medicare A. And I'm going to use my search options. This has now brought up Joe Smith AR, and my net amount left to apply is $74.27.50, so I can just put a check mark there. That's the sequestration amount, so I'm going to enter that here and click Submit. My net amount left is now 0, which is what I want to see. Remember that anytime you're applying payments in Vision, the net amount left should always be 0. There should never be an amount here, either positive or negative. Make sure that you click Submit, and I'm going to edit payments. My edit list is showing me the negative deposit entered on Sue Jones and the regular deposit entered on Joe Smith. My total deposit is the actual amount of the check, $67.25.47. I do have the message that there is an open credit on Sue Jones. That will be posted as an open credit, and that is the takeback amount. And since her account balance was 0 and there was no place to apply the takeback, we know that it is going to be in an open credit, and so we can ignore that message. And then I'm ready to post my payment. We're now going to move on to a more complex series of takebacks. This time our payment is from a Medicaid managed care plan. This Medicaid payer operates as Medicare A replacement, Medicare B replacement, as well as Medicaid. I'm going to look at my remit. This remit was received on 3/1/2018. I can see that they are taking negative back and then paying something which is less than the original payment. Same on this person, they're taking back and paying less. And this one also taking back and paying less. If I go to the last page, I want to check how much the deposit was. And I can see that the check payment was actually 0. So in this case, nothing was deposited because the amounts they're taking back were greater than the amounts that are being paid. What that means is that I want to hold on to this remit and not post it until I get an additional remit that brings us to the point where the payment is greater than the takebacks. The next day I receive another remit, March 2nd. And again, they're taking something back and paying a lesser amount. I want to look at my check amount, the amount that was actually deposited, and again, it's still 0, so we are still on the negative side, which means I can't post this yet. I'm just going to hold on to it. A few days later, I receive another remit on March 5th. This time, again, there are some takebacks, but there are payments as well. Again, I'm going to go all the way to the end and look at the check amount. This time my check amount is not 0. It's an actual amount indicating a deposit. So I'm now ready to post this remit along with the previous remits that I've been holding on to. All 3 of these remits together. I'm going to open a payment batch, and I'm going to enter the remit information. So you'll enter whatever your check number is. The date received should be the date that you actually received payment. So even though I have 3 remits from March 1, 2, and 5, the date I'm going to use is the date of the payment, which is March 5th. and then need to enter a check amount. And remember, this should always be the actual amount that was deposited. I'm going to look back at my March remit. The check amount is $42.62.89. And select Save Check. Remember that when you are posting remits with Takebacks, you want to enter the negative amounts first. So I'm going to go to my first remit for March 1st and take a look at the first page. Now in this remit, they are taking back an amount that they paid previously, and they're paying a new amount, which is less than the original amount they paid. Rather than entering the negative and the positive, all I need to do is enter the net amount. So off to the right here, I have written down what the net amount is on each of these payments. So here on Lacey Doyley, they are taking back $53.66.12 and paying $28.70. The difference is a negative $24.96.12. So that's the amount that I will actually enter on this resident. The dates that they are paying or taking back on are May 2017, this time I am not going to select a payer type, and that is because this payer, as I mentioned earlier, functions as a Medicare A replacement, Medicare B replacement, and also regular Medicaid. So I'm going to leave it open so that it would show all balances for all of those types of payers. So the summarized by, I always want to change that to month when I'm doing insurance payments. And then I can do my search options. Now in this instance, she has a credit balance. I'm going to look again at what the take back amount is, $24.96.12. Enter that as a negative. And in this case, the amount that they're taking back happens to match the credit balance that she had. So that brings her balance to 0. And don't forget to click Submit. I'm going to move on to the next person, Amy Armadillo, for September 2017. So I need to change the dates. Click on Search option. And Amy Armadillo also has a credit balance. I'm going to look back at the remit. The amount that they're taking back is $12.59. Does not quite match her credit balance. I'm going to enter a negative $12.59. When I tab out of there, I can see that she would have a balance of $7.90. And I've determined that I just want to contractually adjust that off. And click Submit. Looking back at my remit, the next take back is on Pokey Pony, and it is also for September. And Pony also has a negative balance. I'm going to look back at my remit again. The net amount that they're taking back is 2093. Remember to enter that as a negative. This did not exactly match the credit amount, and it would leave a $27.91 balance. And again, I determined that I want to adjust that off. So I'm going to enter it into contractual and click submit. Go back to my remit. There is a payment on Lacey Doyley, however, it is zero. That is something that was denied. So I'm going to need to research that, but there's nothing to enter for it. Go on to the next page. And this one is a payment for Jody Coyote. As I said, we always want to enter the negatives first, but we can finish up this remit. I don't need to take each remit and enter all the negatives and then go back and enter all the payments. So I'm going to enter this payment, Jody Coyote, for January. Payment amount is $647.76, which should be applied to her Part B. Looking at the remit, I can see that this is a Part B payment because of the type of bill, 224. So I'm going to apply that amount here, $647.76, and I'm going to adjust off the balance and click submit. And there's nothing else on this remit, so I'm done with my first zero remit. I'm going to move on to my remit from March 2nd. And it starts out with a take back on Freddie Frog. They're taking back this amount and paying this amount, which nets out to a negative $723. This is for September 2017. I want to be careful that I apply this to the correct account. I don't want to apply it to his private. It goes to the hospice Medicaid. The amount again was $723. He does have a credit, although it doesn't equal the take back amount. I enter the negative $723, and that leaves a $200 balance that I'm going to need to investigate. I don't want to write off that amount without looking at it further. Click submit, and I'm just going to leave that for now so that I can investigate that later. Go back to my remit. And there is an additional take back and payment on Amy Armadillo. They're taking back $149 and paying this $585. So in this instance, they are paying more than they're taking back. Once again, I just want to post the net amount, which in this case is $436.69. And this is for December. Amy's payment is also for a Part B. As you can tell by the type of bill, $436.69 is the net amount. So that's going to go right here on our Part B. That leaves a balance of $23.74. I'm going to enter that in contractual. Make sure you click submit. I'm going to go back to my March 2nd remit, and that is the end of that remit. So I can now move to my last remit on March 5th. The first amount is a takeback, where they are taking back their original payment here and paying a lesser amount. So the net amount is a negative. This is on Lacey Doyley for February. Remember, if you're not sure if you click submit, it never hurts to click it again. Now here on Lacey Doyley, her balance is 0, so it had been paid in full. So on Lacey Doyley for February, the net amount is that they are taking back $1559.68. $1559.68. I enter the negative $1559.68. That will leave her with a balance, and I don't want to adjust off that large balance without investigating to see if I need to refile or if something was denied or what is going on with that. Click submit. And I can move on to my next payment. This time there are 2 payments. They're both for January. One is for Coyote and one for Armadillo. You can see that both of those are just straightforward payments. Even though my check amount was only $4,200 plus, because of the negative takebacks that I've entered, you can see that the net amount left is now $11,000. That allows me to apply these 2 payments. The payment amount is $4135.78. Leaving a negative balance of 9 cents. I'm just going to contract that off. Submit. Bring up Armadillo. And they're paying the same amount, $4135.78. And adjust off that 9 cents. Click submit. So I'm now down to a net amount left of $3,000 and some. I'm going to go back to my remit. On to the next page. And in this case, they are taking back a previous payment amount and paying a new amount. In this case, they're paying more. And so off to the side, I have written the net amount. This is on Jody Coyote for December. I'm going to change my date. Look at my remit again. They're paying $1381.21, and this is for Medicare B. I'll find the Medicare B, enter $1381.21. That leaves an amount of $49.32, which I'm going to adjust off and submit. Move on to my next payment, which is Turkey Lurkey. It's also for December. And again, they're taking back a previous payment and paying an additional amount, which nets out to $266.33. I want to find the Medicare B, $266.33, and then contract off the amount remaining. Submit. And go back to my remit. The last payment is for Chelsea Chimp, also for December. And here it looks like their previous payment was $0, but now they're paying $1390.02. Here's Chelsea Chimp's balance. I'm going to enter $1390.02, leaving $57.93, and I'm going to adjust that off and click Submit. That is the last payment on my remit. Remember that the net amount left should always be $0. However, I right now have a net amount left of 12 cents. So somewhere I've made a mistake. I need to find that before I can post it. So I'm going to go back and review each one of my payments and determine where I went wrong. I've gone through and reviewed each one of my payments, and I found that I entered the wrong amount on Lacey Doyley. It should be $1559.56. But on Lacey Doyley, I instead entered $1559.68. I'm going to correct that. Tab over, click Submit. And my net amount left is now $0. So I can go to Edit Payments. On my edit list, I can see all of my negative amounts and positive amounts. Looking under the deposit column, my grand total is $4262.89. I'm going to check back on my remit, and that was the amount of the check, $4262.89. If everything looks correct, then I'm ready to post. To summarize, make sure that your check amount, when you enter it, is always the actual amount of the check, the amount that was deposited. When you do your distribution, enter the takebacks first, that is the negative amount, then apply your payments as usual. The net amount left should always be 0 when you are complete. If it is not 0, do not post. Thank you for viewing our webinar. Make sure that you check out some of our other webinars on our YouTube channel, such as how to import the 835 Medicare Remit.